everyone, welcome back to ZEGAMI Beauty. My name is Krisha. So today's video is going to be a super quick tutorial on how to achieve a very natural everyday brow. It really is quite easy. I'm hoping that the fact that I'm going to be using 4 products doesn't make it seem like it's going to be super complicated, because honestly it is one of the easiest ways to achieve a very nice brow shape. And again, I don't have the thickest brow and I still feel this technique just gives me a very natural, slightly fluffy look. Before we get into the tutorial, of course I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Also, please feel free to ring the notification bell just to be made aware of when I do upload videos. It's usually twice a week. I am striving for 3, but realistically it is going to be most likely continuously 2 times a week. I definitely want to make sure that you guys know when I upload. Also I'm on Instagram, so at ZEGAMI Beauty on Instagram as well, where I post daily. Okay guys, that's it for the intro. Let's get straight into the tutorial. I'm going to zoom you in really close, talk through the one brow, whichever one that is, and then do the other brow without talking, just to kind of, again, show you the technique a second time. So let's get into this. Okay, so you guys are nice and close right now. What I like to do first is just brush up my brow. So I just use the spoolie end on the pencil that I use, and I'll go over each product, so no worries there. Any spoolie though, I just tend to just brush them up. Now I do have some strays. I wasn't going to remove any strays from that underbrow area, but you know, if you do have some strays you're not appreciating, you can definitely just, you know, pull some out. Of course, I discourage over plucking. I mean, the way I was able to get this particular shape lately is because I've just stopped plucking my brows. I do still take, like I said, some out, like the really low strays. I will still pull out the ones that kind of bother me, but overall I've just stopped touching my brows. The first thing I do is, product wise, is use a colored or tinted brow gel. This one in particular is by MAC and it's their brow set in Beguille. I do believe they've reformulated their brow gel products, so they have something similar, but it doesn't have that same long brush on it. It's going to have a shorter brush. So I would suggest either this product or any kind of product that has a color to it or a tint and a slight thickening effect. Then if it has one with a really tiny brush, I find that brush way too tiny and it's really hard for me to kind of go in and get a clean look out of it. It's just too clunky on the bottom in terms of product, and then it's just too small. To me, I don't like it, but some people do, so that'd be fine. So any kind of color tinted product works well. And what I do first before I do anything else is I just go in and run this brow gel through. Okay, so I ran that through. I got a little bit too much there, but it's no worries. We can definitely fix that later. A lot of the times, if you feel there's too much product, then of course, take some of the product down from the edges, and that really helps it. I should have done that, but it's okay, it's no problem. We'll make sure to even it out there. So that I just ran through, and I wasn't super careful. I just made sure I went through all the hairs and got as many of the hairs as possible from the front to the tail. The next thing I do is I take a pen, kind of like an ink pen. This happens to be the one from MAC. And this is sort of their shading pen on one side. Whoops. Where it has sort of the filling in powder. I never use that, okay? The side I use always is the pen side. Stila makes one as well. I don't like it as much. I find this one just works better. It lasts longer because I probably should open up my new one, my backup, but this is still working. It has a little ball in it to shake it up and just kind of get it going again. So give it a good shake. And there's still enough product for me to use to show you guys. What I do next is I literally go in and I sort of fill in the hairs where they're missing, which is usually from the middle to the end. Not really the tail. The tail I leave for later. So just the middle. And you just kind of draw them in where you think they're missing. And I do have a little splotch there. We'll fix that. I'll show you with the 4th product how to fix it. And that is it. So I just sort of fill in the brow hairs following a pseudo line with my arch. And again, some hairs are there, some hairs are missing, so I just put in the ones that I feel are missing in that arch area. And then the third product I use is to fill in my tail. I only use this in my tail area. This is going to be a really, really thin pencil. So this is the MAC Eyebrows Styler. They just reformulated it. It used to break so easily, and about a year ago they reformulated it. I have it in Stylized. They do have quite a really, really nice array of colors in this particular line, and it works beautifully. It's a very, very sort of micro type pencil, not as thin as the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. That one works really, really well also, and I do have that one on a backup. And I do prefer the ABH Brow Wiz, but this one is really good as well, just as long as it has a thin tip on it. So what I do with the pencil is just fill in and elongate the tail. That is it. And that is it. I just make sure I have a tail on my brows because I naturally cannot get my hairs to grow in on that side. The thinner the pencil, the better. So that's why I think the Brow Wiz, it's slightly waxier, slightly thinner. You can get even a sharper tail, but this one works really well also. Okay, and then the final step is to set them. So some people might like to use a typical soap technique. I think that's been really popular. That's gonna give you obviously a little bit more of a wild, fluffy brow, which I tend to use sometimes as well. So just kind of dip a spoolie into some wet glycerin soap, and then you can really go in and create a really fluffy brow. What I like to use is the 24-hour brow setter from Benefit. This stuff is amazing. Honestly, it will set your brows and keep them in place through pretty much anything. I have, like I said, 2 really young kids in a previous video, and they tend to sometimes be, you know, all up in your face. Let's face it, right? They like to hug, they like to get all cuddly and stuff, and my brows still look in place. Like sometimes if I do switch shirts and I really mess them up, then yeah, I might have to retouch up. But for the most part, this sets them, keeps them in place. And also what it does, I find, is at the end, if you've made any mistakes, you put a little bit too much gel in one spot because you didn't clean off your your brow gel before putting it on, it kind of just goes in and blends it, and it defines the hairs, keeps them in place. Absolute perfection, this product. So let's go in and set them. So one side of the spoolie is sort of longer and the other side's shorter. I use the longer side. Actually has a really nice scent to it as well. So I like them quite lifted at the center. So I really kind of lift them up with the gel in the center and then just kind of comb them out on the edges. And again, if there's any clumps, it fixes them for the most part. Amazing. So again, a very natural brow, looks slightly bushy, slightly defined. And again, you can define it more if you put in a few more hairs with the pen, totally optional. So I'm gonna just do the other side without talking, just to sort of show you the technique one more time. Okay guys, that's everything for today's video. I really hope you guys found it helpful. This is not an Instagram brow. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be just a very natural brow. My goal is, when I do my makeup on the everyday, is that I do a makeup as if that was my natural brow. So it kind of looks like, I kind of mimic actually what my kids have. And they're really blessed. They have some of my husband's genetics when it comes to darker features. So they have a really beautiful, naturally defined brow. I sort of look at them and I'm like, that is just so youthful. And so that is sort of what I wanted to mimic with this technique. It's not perfect by any means because it doesn't look like you're trying hard. The purpose of this brow, I feel, for every day for me is that it looks as if this could be my potentially natural brow, which it's not, obviously. It does take a little bit of work, but nothing crazy, and you just achieve this natural brow effect where you can still see the hairs even though they're not real hairs. And then of course you fill in the tail because you really want to frame your face, so very important to fill in that tail just to kind of frame your face here on the edges. I just feel like it's not perfect, but that's what makes it, I think, naturally pretty. Let me know if you guys like this brow look, and if you are going to try it, if you have tried it. I really want to know if it's been something that has helped your technique or achieve a brow look that you're interested in. Otherwise, that's it for today's video. Let me know how it goes. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon, and have a wonderful day. Bye.